Hello and good day, A. Welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
And we are from supergoodcamping.com. We are here because we're on a mission to inspire other families to enjoy camping adventures such as we have with our kids. Today, we like to welcome a wonderful husband and wife couple. They canoe and they hike in an epic way. We share many of the same motivations, inspired to get others outside and into nature and leave no trace, to name a couple. They currently have 25 videos on their YouTube channel, chronicling their travel adventures and a stellar Instagram account. Please welcome Alex and Jess, otherwise known as Tents and Timber. Yay, welcome.
Oh, thank you both so much.
So we wanted to know who's tents and who's timber.
We were wondering if you were going to ask that.
The name just because of being out in the woods and in a tent, is that?
Yeah, mostly, and it's kind of a play on words, so we let people kind of guess as to who's who and how that kind of works out. But yeah.
Okay. Cool.
See, that's I had that answer, and you said I wasn't allowed to say it. So.
I said we're a PG-rated show here.
It's a family show.
That's
what we're taking a shot at, anyhow. All right, so I've followed you guys for a while.
Thank you.
Oh man,
Tim watches a lot of camping videos.
I have some issues.
We all suffer from that.
Yay. It's good. It's a group psychosis thing. How did you guys get into camping, and what segue that into? So you got into camping, but what made you go that extra step to start doing the couple camping, what front country, but into backcountry, et cetera, et cetera? Give me that road.
Sure, I can give you my history. Jess's is slightly different than mine in the beginning. For myself, I always just went car camping, I guess, as a child with my family. We had a trailer and tents and everything. So bouncing around to all the different Ontario parks pretty much as a child. And we ventured out to the East Coast once or twice, but cool. Pretty much growing up into my mid-20s, I was always just, driving up with my car, unloading everything and camping right there, like a lot of people do. And then Jess didn't really get into camping until...
No, I hadn't really slept in a tent really until 16, 17, so in my later teens. And then we started with our friends car camping and getting to provincial parks. I couldn't get enough of that. I wanted to be out there all the time. And then Alex started kind of dabbling in the backcountry, and then we did a test backcountry camping in Killarney with a couple, and I just got the bug. I'm hooked. Can't get enough of it.
Killarney's awesome. It's a beautiful park.
Absolutely. So yeah, Jess and I have been together for like roughly 15-ish years now, and we started car camping originally together, and then I started going on what she calls man camping trips with my guy friends into the back country, and I absolutely loved it. I'd never really done it before until my mid-20s, and then Jess and I have been, just pushing ourselves and trying to get out there as much as we absolutely can, and trying all different types of camping. So whether it's hiking, backpacking, or canoeing, and we still go car camping as well.
Do you have a favorite park?
Favorite park? That's a tough one. It depends if we're going to like car camping or front country camping, or if we're going like backcountry. It totally depends. We really enjoy Grundy Provincial Park if we're going like front camping or car camping.
Yeah, we really enjoyed Arrowhead as well.
We loved Arrowhead too, yeah.
As far as like backcountry canoe camping, you can't go wrong with Algonquin. It's the closest for us. So that's why we kind of prefer that one. But like there's so many, like French River, the Killarney, there's so many places to go and see. It's hard to just say, yeah, this is my favorite, because we want to go to them all.
Yeah. Tim and Thomas are going to take on the French River this year.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it looks like it. It's for us, the big kid. He's my camping partner. We tend to do, so we've done Algonquin a few times. Kawartha Highlands, Killarney, all lake destination and portages. So I'm not spring chicken anymore. I wanted to try, bucket list thing. I wanted to try a river type deal. So we actually read up one of the books. I think it was the 60 canoe routes thing of Kevin Callan's, and he maps out he maps out a massive route where like Iroquois and the guys with the fur hats, hunters, trappers.
Voyagers.
Thank you. As you get older, you lose words. He mapped out a brilliant. It's an amazing route, except that it's like 85 kilometers. And I went, I tend to be a taskmaster, and we just push. I want to back off. I want to spend some time, do some fishing, which we'll get talking about at some point, I'm sure. Maybe just spend some time shooting some content. So this was the year to do a river route. So we're really looking forward to doing the French River.
We don't think we've finished your first question there.
All right.
As to how we got into social media, I suppose.
Yeah.
That was relatively recent. And it started with friends and family. Our parents were always asking, hey, what are you doing? Where you going? And so we just wanted to share our adventures with them. And then it just kind of like spiraled from there. Like we had random strangers now asking us about our trips, and then the community started building. And that's been the absolute best part for us, is communicating with people like yourself and reaching out and just chatting about gear and trips and routes. And
just all the like-minded people that we've come across really has just been an amazing part of being part of this big community that there is in Ontario.
Yeah, it's a huge community. You're right. Yeah, the Ontario outdoor adventurers is what I sort of peg everybody as, but there's so many of them. And a perfect example is that you guys at the Ontario Outdoor Adventure Show, and then Kevin's running through like a lunatic with his camera and stuff, and then suddenly there's like 18 of you in a shot, and they're all the people that we watch. So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun, getting out there and meeting all the other YouTubers and all the social media people. That was an absolute blast. And yeah, Kevin surprised us. We were right there at the end, and he just threw up the camera in front of our faces. And so yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Cool, very cool. So you guys have done, so you do tons of backcountry stuff. Very cool. And there's a particular video, it's not going to come to me. You spent a night front country in order to be ready to jump into the backcountry. It's probably the one that I've watched a couple of times, just because I liked the I don't know, the smartness of being there ready to go, rather than driving the 4 hours and launching yourself into the backcountry, being exhausted, paddling like a lunatic, whatever. Like, it was a brilliant prep move, and I stole it from you. I've used it now. We did T Lake in Algonquin last year, and we stayed front country for the first night, and then used that to move into the backcountry, which is brilliant. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It's copyrights later. Now that you've done that sort of backcountry thing for canoeing, talk to me about hiking. What would make you go? I love water. I hate portages. Not hate. I dislike them quite a bit. It's heavy, sweaty, buggy, all that sort of thing. My tiny brain says that's what hiking is. You're not carrying a canoe, but outside of that, you're carrying a heavy pack, you're sweaty, you're up, you're down. It's why hiking? What made you guys want to do some of that?
I think it's just a challenge. I know for myself, I like the challenge of getting my pack as light as I can, getting our food on point. For me, that's a big challenge. It's a massive physical challenge, big on endurance and strength, and yeah, that's a big part of it for me.
Yeah, and we just like to mix it up. Like,
yeah,
there's only yeah, there's a lot of lakes in Algonquin, obviously. But, you know, there's only so many places and different loops and routes that you can go. So we just wanted to mix it up and try new things and, yeah, get out there as much as we can. So, yeah, we're up for,
Yeah, bring on the adventure.
yeah, any type of adventure. It doesn't matter.
So speaking of hiking adventures, you just did a massive, not just, recently did a massive West Coast Trail.
Yep.
Cool. And for the record, I looked it up and I saw West Coast Trail, I saw Pacific Crest Trail, and I also saw Pacific Coast Trail. And I swear that the two PCTs are the same thing. They're just people using different terms. But I was trying to read, it's like, oh yeah, I don't know. Tell me about your West Coast Trail.
Yeah, to the PCTs and what those ones are like across the whole United States. The West Coast Trail is on the west side of Vancouver Island in British Columbia, and it is a backpacking hiking trail, multi-day, obviously, if it's 75 kilometers long. So they recommend about 5 to 7 nights. So we try and treat a lot of our canoe trips and hiking trips and whatever backpacking trips as vacations, because we only get so much vacation a year. And if we spend all of our vacation camping and canoeing, we want to actually enjoy a lot of it and not necessarily push ourselves and try and get, you know, as far as we can every single day. So, you know, we've really tried to like kind of slow it down a little bit so we're relaxing and whatnot. So we figured if we're traveling from Ontario all the way to BC, so we hopped on a plane, flew over there, we wanted to make sure we enjoyed the trail as much as we could. So we actually spent 7 nights on the trail. We probably could have done it in a faster time, but we wanted to enjoy it. From everything that we've read about the West Coast Trail, it is just absolutely stunning. So we wanted to fully take everything in as much as we could. So the West Coast Trail is, as I said, 75 kilometers long. It started as like a First Nations trade route type of deal. And then roughly about 200 years ago, when all the ships started coming around, they started crashing into the shoreline. So that trail ended up becoming a rescue lifeline for all the shipwrecks and all the people that got crashed there. And it became known as the graveyard of the Pacific, actually. So you can, along the trail, as you're hiking along it, you can see all the shipwrecks, and there's boat anchors and parts all over the shore, which makes it, the history there, really unique. And that's why we liked it. We always kind of like looking up the history of the areas before we get there. So that part was really, really interesting. But the trail itself is absolutely nuts. It is listed as one of the most challenging or toughest trails in Canada. So we started at the north end of the trail, so therefore we had to take a shuttle to get there.
Yeah, we landed in Victoria, and we ended up just staying in a hostel for the first night. So we kind of did the jump off like we did at Cedar Lake. So we stayed in the hostel, got shuttle, then the same thing was a logistics thing for us, flying from Ontario to the WCT. We couldn't bring fuel, right? So there was certain gear, but there's certain things you couldn't pack. So luckily, obviously the shuttles are used to campers and such. So the shuttle that we booked, we could purchase our fuel from. And then it was about 5 hours or so on that shuttle to get to the trailhead. And then obviously it's right along the southern coast of Vancouver Island. So it's one directional. So you start at the west end or you start at the east end. And we chose to start at the far end and then work our way back towards Victoria.
Cool.
Yeah, and if you have to definitely look it up. I don't know if it's on your bucket list or not yet.
I'm old.
Highly recommend.
It looks cool. Watching you do your trip logs on Instagram has been, I keep looking at it. I think I posted the other day something about, because it was a suspension bridge, and then it was this switchback of like up against the mountain. No, thank you. It looks fabulous. I'm gonna watch people like you do it.
Yeah, we hope to get a video of it soon. This trip was actually, we did it before we started our social media account and everything. So we just wanted to go back through it and post it and share it with everybody, because it was a trip of a lifetime.
Absolutely.
Like, it was absolutely insane. There's over 100 vertical ladders that you have to climb over the length of the trail, and about 100 more bridges and boardwalks that you have to cross.
Cable cars.
They even have, cable cars, which is really cool. So you hop in this little car, and you just kind of, gravity takes you across the river, kind of like a chairlift on a ski hill or something, but it's just like gravity fed, and then you have to manually.
Yeah, it gets you about halfway across the creek or river or whatever you're crossing, and then you've got to pull yourself.
Cool.
So yeah, it was just really, really unique. The wildlife was stunning. We saw bald eagles multiple times a day, whales and sea lions every single day. Like, you don't get that here. Like, we don't really have whales in Ontario.
No.
So that part was just absolutely blew our minds every single day.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. It's bucket list and early. Nice job, guys. I don't even know where to go after something that massive. I mean, I'm so jealous. So if you don't mind, how long was it a quickie plan thing? I mean, a bucket list. So I assume you've been looking at it for ages. How long did you actually spend planning the trip, like the nuts and bolts?
Planning wise, we were about 6 months out. Booking the trip is a little bit different because it's only open from, I can't remember if it's the
May till September.
May till September.
They don't allow you on it during the winter time because it's just the weather
It's
and
too rugged.
it's too crazy.
Too crazy. So, and they only allow a certain number of campers per night on the trail. So that is all coordinated. So from the time that we booked it, kind of got ourselves organized, and we were planning it almost for 6 months, along with training for it as well.
Yeah, we physically trained
Yeah.
before we actually went on this trip to make sure our bodies could handle the toughness of the terrain.
Well, the demand, we were going up and down mountains, up and down cliffs, ladders that were soaked, so you'd slip on the rungs and things like that. So it was a very challenging but amazing trail.
How did
Crazy
you train?
step.
What did you do to train for that?
Just working out at home, jogging, running.
Yeah.
We actually putting our backpacks on and walking down the street, and I'm sure our neighbors were like, who the heck are these guys and where are they going?
Yeah, and I found some flights of stairs that I could do. So I did a lot of stairs, and then I'd add in a weighted backpack, just to kind of get your legs and your back prepared for the inclines, was a big thing that I did.
So we'd read, there's a crazy statistic actually, that they evacuate somebody from the West Coast Trail every day and a half. So if that puts it into perspective, we wanted to make sure we were on our absolute A game.
Yeah.
So
Not ones to be hauled out. Yeah, good call.
Are there any altitude problems? Like, is it you're at a high altitude and so less oxygen?
no, not really. It's right on the coast. Like, you literally walk along the beaches most of the time, but then you got to scale up the cliff and then back down the cliff. So you're not elevated too high.
Not
It's
that
just
high.
injuries from slips, trips, and falls.
Yeah, it's a temperate rainforest. So everything is wet all the time. Everything has mist on it or moss. There's a ton of banana slugs crawling over everything all the time.
You're basically just damp for
The
the
whole
entire time.
Plus, I sweat enough. It doesn't matter where I am. That's how that plays for me. Footwear. So if everything's slippery and wet and stuff, were you specific about what you wanted to have on your feet in order to minimize the whoop?
Yeah, absolutely. I swear by my Solomons. I've worn them for forever, and I keep buying the exact same pair of boots every single time. And they have monster, really good treads on the bottom, kind of like chevron shaped. And I absolutely love them. And Jess now swears by them too. She recently just bought a pair, and now she's using them as well. So
Yeah.
that's what we use. They're Gore-Tex shoes and kept our feet dry for the most part. But we also wore gaiters, which, if you're unfamiliar with gaiters, they are just basically like a little shield that comes up to just below your knee and helps protect, your boots filling with dirt and mud all the time, because you're just stepping and walking in mud. As a crazy statistic for you, the West Coast Trail receives 330 centimeters of rain a year versus Toronto receives like 80 centimeters, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be way smaller. Yeah, for
So
sure.
it receives a lot more rain, so everything's just wet and damp all the time.
Yep.
Cool. But lots of green. So that's nice. That's easy on the eyes, easy on the nerves, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
They
it
have
was beautiful.
they have some of the biggest trees in Canada there. So it was beautiful that way to witness and see all that stuff.
Mhm.
Staying warm a problem when you're damp all the time?
Yeah, it never really gets too cold. Like kind of average temperature was about like 14 degrees. So we were extremely lucky on our trip.
Yeah.
We watched a couple YouTube videos before we went, and we watched people experience 5, 6, 7 days of rain straight. So we had 5 days of like sunshine, and then the last 2 days it kind of rained on us a little bit.
Lightly though, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I couldn't imagine it raining the entire time on the trail. It would have been very dangerous, I think, so certain parts of it. It would be a bit of a hazard. So we were so grateful. We just didn't want to jinx it. Let's not talk about it. It's great. You know, we
Knock
had
on
good
wood.
weather. Let's just keep on trucking.
Nice. Well, that's cool. Yeah, that would be, especially for a bucket list thing like that, for it to pour on you for 7 days, that'd be a little poopy.
And that's why we struggle with whether or not we should go back and do it again, because we might not have the same outcome, and then we might not remember it as well.
Mhm.
And on a high note.
Yeah. Yeah. Any interesting things you ran into? Interesting, sorry, stupid phrase. Tell me some of the cool things you found along the way. A wicked long bridge. There was a halfway point thing that was very cool. Tell me the cool things.
For sure. The big trees, like we have big trees here in Ontario, but the trees there were just, they don't even compare. They were just absolutely massive. So just knowing how old these trees are and how big they are was just really, really neat to see. The one thing that I think you're trying to ask us for is the dead sea lion that was washed onto the beach, and there was a bald eagle standing on top of it, enjoying it as a meal, I'll say. We did also encounter a black bear carcass that had washed ashore at some point. But yeah, as far as cool things, just every day being able to look out into the ocean, because we had to sleep on the beach every single day. They're very strict that way. They don't want you sleeping in the forest because it's sensitive. They don't want to damage any of the plants.
Yeah, like staying on the trail was really important and part of the orientation as well.
So, oh yeah, before we even start the trail, you have to take a 1-hour orientation to learn about the tides, because the tides can rise up 10 feet or more, and then you get stuck somewhere. So you have to pay attention to the tides and the tide charts. And so you're not getting pinned somewhere that you can't get out of.
Mm-hmm. But even for your tent placement, so all of the campsites are along
Oh yeah.
and such, right? So you had to be mindful of where you're putting your tent, that you're not too close. It was only a couple of campsites, I think, that we got a little close for comfort.
Yeah, you wake up and the ocean's like 40, 100 feet away from you, and you wake up and it's 5 feet away from you.
Mm-hmm. So
That'd be a little
was really
freaky.
interesting. You know, on the Great Lakes, we don't really have to worry about the tide, so that was a different element. And there was one portion of the trail as well that was, once we got to it, we had to wait for the tide to go out to continue on the trail, because there was like this little cove section that we had to wait. So we were like, okay, well, we'll stop for lunch, have a bite, and then continue on afterwards. So that to me was just a holy smokes, this is no joke on this trail. So
Well, that's interesting to do something so foreign. I mean, we have all kinds of water, but we don't deal with that in any way, shape, or form. You know, wind, sure, but not tides. That's cool.
and that's why the orientation was so important too, just to get us up to speed with what we're really going to be up against, and learning about, you know, the bear boxes and everything. It was really important. That orientation was key.
Did you see live bears or just the bear carcass?
We never saw a live bear, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it.
Whether it was grizzly or
was-
not.
the very first day. So we took the orientation and we started down on the beach, and we got like 100 feet into the trail and there was bear tracks. And because of the tides, that would have been underwater about 3 or 4 hours prior. So like that bear had just been there. Like there's no other way for those tracks to be there because it would have been underwater. So that was kind of eye-opening right off the bat. And then at like the halfway point on a couple of the campsites, there was fresh posters up saying cougar in the area, be aware. And then even along the trail, there's like tsunami evacuation points and stuff like that. So like there is so much to it. Like we could talk your ear off for hours and hours, I'm sure, because it was just so beautiful and amazing and scary at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have thought of tides off the top. If you spent 6 months planning, maybe you come across it. I certainly would not have occurred to me tsunamis. Like it's just not a thing. We're in the middle of the country here. It doesn't, we don't get tsunamis. It's not happening. Big, 4-foot waves, fine, but tsunamis, no. That would be, yeah. Well, that's a cool experience to have those challenges that you're not used to. So I don't know, somehow that would probably, I'm old, it's not happening. It would probably enhance the experience. Look perspective wise, looking at it as you're going out. That'd be cool. Scary, but cool. Bear prints. Yeah. 3 hours earlier. Okay. Especially out there, terrifies me. We did an episode where we talked about bears because people are freaked out about bears. It's like, you know what, black bears, not such a big deal, man. Put your food up. You're probably okay. Grizzly bears, I don't want to know about camping anywhere that there might be grizzly bears. I'm just going to stay away from that, and I'm going to be okay because I have no idea. Like that's crazy. Bear spray, I suppose. But and then you watch somebody like Adam Schultz who's out, and he's waving at them and stuff. Like, okay, you're a way better guy than me because I'm chicken shit.
And he's doing it by himself, like 1,000 miles from anybody else. It's just crazy.
He doesn't portage the canoe. He drags the canoe with a 175-pound pack on his back, and it's like I'm not worthy. I'm not. All right, so that sounds like an awesome trip. What are your give me a handful of favorite things about camping. What makes you want to keep going back out there?
Well, for the starters, it's the planning of everything. We really enjoy thinking about the trips and planning where we're going to go and the locations and our food, what we're going to have. That's a big portion of kind of what we enjoy, even before we get camping, is the planning of it.
Yeah, we almost get as much enjoyment from creating the Excel spreadsheets for what we're going to pack and the food and everything as we actually get from going on the canoe trips. We like our Excel spreadsheets, I must say.
Tim spends a year planning where we're going camping the following year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have trip routes planned for the next 5-10 years. Every time we stare at a map, we're just like, oh, okay,
let's go here.
Yeah, let's add that one on there. Oh, that looks like a good fishing spot. Let's go there. Yeah. So fishing, I guess, would be a secondary thing why we enjoy our camping trips. I was never my family was not big into fishing as a child, but something I've always enjoyed, and being able to, go out there and catch some fish and then have a meal from it fresh is absolutely awesome too. But my fishing skills are not anywhere near like some of the other famous social media people by any means, but
and I hear Jess is quite the fisher woman.
She usually outfishes me. Yeah, that's true.
Perhaps first fish, usually. First fish, not always the biggest fish, but
still, that counts for something.
Yeah. We just did a spring canoe trip here a month ago, or not quite, a couple weeks ago. And yeah, she caught the first fish, of course, on that trip as well. Like it's just standard. I know she's gonna catch the first fish.
Getting the weekend started, get the first one on the hook.
Yeah.
Then I'm done. Signing off.
Yeah, I'm winning. I got it.
So Jess, do you clean them as well?
I have in the past, but usually that's Alex.
She's the cook. I'm the.
Yeah,
cleaner.
usually pass that off to this one too.
I make the mess. Well, I
That's
cook too, though. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not Sharesies. That's not.
I wash dishes.
Fine. Yes, dear. Cool. Favorite places to fish? Both of you, whether if they're different or not.
It doesn't really matter.
I was
what-
gonna say, I'm not sure.
Fishing. I like going new places to new lakes and not knowing what's in the lake and trying to have to figure it out that way, I suppose. So we're big on, right now we're trying to catch specific species of fish. So when we go out fishing, okay, let's try and catch bass today. Let's try and catch a walleye today and actually target specific species. So as far as the favorite lake or pond or wherever we go, it doesn't really matter. We have some small ponds kind of around us and we can just go and fish in them for hours at a time. Some days we're pretty close to Lake Erie, so we'll go out on Lake Erie. We're open to anywhere. Fishing is fun no matter what lake you're on. It's even if I don't catch
whatever you're
anything.
catching, at least you're trying.
Even if you're not catching
Yeah.
anything, it's still fun.
Cool. Well, yes, I suppose it's fun. It's more fun if you catch. Just saying.
I absolutely
yes.
agree, but it's still way better than a day spent at work or something like that. So I'll sit out there in the canoe all day long and not catch anything versus sit all day at work and do work.
I hear you. I can't disagree with that. So we're headed
Don't tell my
towards
boss
the. Sorry, say that again.
Don't tell my boss I said that.
He won't listen. He
My
won't
boss knows. My boss knows that I'm just getting all to, as I get twitchier. It's like, okay, oh, your camping trip must be coming up. It is. It's been too long. I got to go. Bye bye. We're running, starting to head towards the end of the time we've got here. I don't even know.
Is there
That's
anything
been
else
great.
you guys want to tell us about what you like about camping, how you got into it, anything, any stories that maybe you can tell a story about each other?
The time she set the tent on fire.
No, we luckily haven't done
I haven't
that.
done that, fortunately.
No, I don't think we have any crazy stories really.
Sure.
I don't think so.
As far as, that was always our parents' fear. And that's why we started the social media thing. They were always, our moms are always worried about, oh, you're going to get eaten by a bear or something like that.
Mhm.
So like for your listeners and everything like that, we've been doing this for almost 10 years. I've seen 2 bears in the backcountry in my entire time in 2 years. And both times they disappeared faster than I could pull my smartphone out of my pocket and turn
Take
it
a
on.
picture.
And take a photo.
Yep.
Like it was unbelievable. Like smartphones take a half a second to turn on and take a photo, and that bear was gone before I could even get that out of my pocket. So that part of the stories kind of ease our mother's fears, I suppose, about us going into the backcountry and doing what we do. So that's, the semi-scariest thing, I suppose, is everyone's always afraid of bears, and that is not our fear at all.
No.
Nope. For us, for me, it's raccoons, and get the heck out of whatever it is that you're into. The one year they got into my sugar cubes for my coffee,
Oh,
and
no.
they just kept coming. Oh my God. I kept going out chasing them away, and I didn't know what they were doing. So then I went back to, and then they'd be at it again. It's like,
Yeah,
we
they
tried to
do
use
super
we tried to use a seal bag hanging as our food storage, and they climbed down the rope, chewed through the seal bag, that heavy rubber, not kidding, chewed through the seal bag, and we were throwing things at them. They didn't care. They're just raccoons. It's not the bears, it's the raccoons, man. I'm telling you. They make me crazy. It's then I made Thomas go out and throw things at them because I was tired by then. Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Hey, thank you so much
This
for
has been
having
great.
us.
for having us. This has been wonderful.
It's been a ton of fun.
Cool. Well, maybe we'll do it again after your next big adventure. What is your next big adventure?
Oh, we have so much planned for this year. You'll have to kind of hang along and stick and check us out. We have some pretty cool and exciting things planned. Like, it's going to be an awesome summer.
Excellent. Then we will continue to follow you on YouTube and on your Instagram.
Look them up as Tents and Timber.
On both platforms. They're awesome. Thanks for coming out.
Hey, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you both so much.
Thanks
I
for
really
doing what you
enjoyed it.
do.
Yeah, very much so.